in the previous lecture, we talked about the catboy and the twink. That was lecture 6. Today will be lecture number 7, which should be the Fundamental Theorem of Femboyology. Fundamental Theorem of Engineering, of Femboyology. Fundamental Theorem of Femboyology. Now, a little warning, this would involve a little bit of calculus, but I'll try my best to explain to you guys. So this lesson uses the concept of a integral. So any calculus savvy of you among them would understand this. It's basically the area of a place under a graph. So I'll just go straight ahead. A small review on catboy and twink. The catboy is basically a guy with tattoos. Yeah, the catboy. The twink is a thin guy who likes guys as well. And I'm not going to discuss much about that. It's all in the previous lecture. And so yeah, the assignments are in the course syllabus if you want to enroll in this course. Just answer any of them, send it to my email, which is listed in the previous video, and you'll find it in the description of my channel as well. So yeah, today we're going to discuss about the Fundamental Theorem of Femboyology. And the Fundamental Theorem of Femboyology states that the integral of the human function, human of h, dh, from the twink to the trap is equal to the femboy. No other things, just a femboy, right? Integrate from twink to trap, the human will get femboy. Okay. So to begin this lesson, first I need to give you guys a healthy intuition on what exactly is the human function. And that's what I'm gonna for now. What is the human function? What is human of h? Question mark. Well, the human function is much like a function. Functions, what functions do between two sets, the two groups of things. A function assigns one thing to another thing from this set to that set. So what a function does is basically gets this one here and tells us which thing here it corresponds to, right? This is f of x. This is x. This is y. So given a point x on the Cartesian plane, given a point x, the function tells us its y coordinate. X, f, x. That's why advanced courses say, or a fundamental relation is that y is equal to f of x. Because if we put x, any point x on the Cartesian plane here, into here, we get its y value. This determines the y value of every point here, and that is the basic definition of a function. Now, the definition of the human function is a bit special. It's not a regular function in the sense of a value that corresponds to some things, but it's rather a thing that assigns. It still assigns. That's why I call it a function. That's why I use integration. Okay? And human of h gives us it takes a value. It takes a value, any value, and makes it, or any concept, and turns it into its human form. So if we were to input the animal into human, we would get the furry. That. We get the furry because anthropomorphizing, turning it into human. So it turns an object into human form. So, yeah. And this human function can take on many forms actually, dependent on what your concepts are in their magnitude or their position in the thing. Yeah. So it doesn't really give us a y coordinate per se, but it gives us the form of that object or concept in human form. Right? So if we were to put anything, give us human form of anything. This is the fundamental equation of the human function, which I want to find out. That's that. So if we put an input in there, it gives us its human form. Okay, so what exactly is an integral? What is this scary swoopy S that I just wrote out? Basically, at the most basic level, this is our axis and this is our function. An integral is basically the area between two regions, or between two lines, 2 points of the graph. This is A, this is B, this is the integral from A to B, this is fx, of fx dx. This shaded region is an integral. And a little visual intuition on it. On the theorem itself, if this over here is a human function, here, this is the, I'll denote trick as small b, trap small b, w. This shaded region over here is the femboid. That's it. This is the femboid. And this is human of h. That is the femboid. And now, a little algebraic proof of this. So it's very simple actually. We know that the fundamental theorem of fundamental theorem of calculus states that the integral from a to b of the function fx dx. X can be replaced with any variable. It can be v, it can be w, it can be for pussy, but it really can be anything. This fundamental theorem states that it is simply capital F of x evaluated from A to B, which is basically just f of B minus f of A, where f of x is the integral of f of, actually not integral, but rather antiderivative. Antiderivative of f of x. So if f of x here is a derivative function, gives us a slope of a certain function, then its integral is the function that this function gives a slope of. This is the original function we're finding here. And this is the derivative of this function. And at its basic form, the derivative gives us the slope of a line at any point of that function. So the derivative is a machine that takes a function or graph and gives us an ability to find its slope at any point. It gives us the slope at any point. Derivative allows us to find the slope at any point, or basically the inclination of a line that's touching the graph. Alright, now I'm going to use this as a basis for our proof of the theorem. Okay, so back to the original expression, integral from twink to trap. Human of h dh. So to prove this, I first need to state a couple of facts. The first fact is that human of trap is a femboid. If we humanize a trap, traps are mostly thought of as in anime, so if we were to humanize them, we would make it the femboys. Guys cosplaying into traps since they are guys and traps are guys and they both wear feminine stuff. But that parts. After human of trap is equal to femboy. That's a fact. Fact number 1. Fact number 2 is that human of twink is 0. It vanishes to 0 because if we try to humanize a twink, we can't humanize a twink because a twink is already a type of human. It's already a type of human. It's already real. These guys are real and they are in real life. And that's that. So, but if we try to make a human of femboy, it would also vanish to 0, right? So, a human of anything that's already real and humanized is just 0. It vanishes. So twink is already human form, which is why human of that is already 0. It just vanishes. And in mathematics, when we say something vanishes, it disappears and becomes 0. Yeah. And so from here, we'll just construct the proof itself. So we know that from the fundamental theorem of calculus that integral from a to b f dx, I'm just shortening it to f, is equal to capital F of b minus capital F of a. And I need to state another fact, third fact, and last fact, is that the integral or the antiderivative of the human function of h, dh, is just human of h. Its derivative, it's itself, and its derivative is itself, and its integral is itself, plus c. We add c because the area of this graph can be scaled up and down, and it wouldn't matter. C is dependent on the initial conditions, the a and b that we get here. This gives us the picture. So, from here, we just input whatever is needed to complete the proof. So, from the trap. Human of h dh is equal to human of twink. Okay, human of trap first. B first. Trap is B, twink is A, trap minus twink. There. So that's that. And as I stated a while ago, from the second fact, this vanishes to 0. It comes to 0. And, oh wait, no, not that, that's trap. But this one vanishes to 0. Human. This one vanishes to 0. This human of twink vanishes to 0. And from there, we get human of trap. Quadrant demonstrandum box that we put at the end of proofs just to end the proof and show that for some reason quadrant demonstrandum means as was to be shown. That's that. And it's the proof. Right? Fact 1, fact 2, fact 3 for those note takers there. Okay? And so that concludes the lecture for today, lecture 7. So next lecture will be lecture 8, and it's going to be about measures of homosexual tendencies. So we're going to use percentages and a bit of mapping, map theory, a bit of probability, statistics to define various types of homosexual humans, specimens. So that's lecture 8. Lecture 9, a brief study into biblical apparel. We're going to talk about, I'm not going to say this is lecture 7. Socks, important one, thigh highs. Thigh highs. Almost every femboy has worn this. Skirts, absolutely. Skirts, crop tops, hoodies, jackets, etc., etc. We're going to discuss those in that lecture, which is lecture 9, and that lecture is actually an introduction to appearance engineering. And I'm going to discuss the next lectures in the next one. I just want to say again, LOSE is hiring professors. So if you think you're qualified enough, just send me an email. And you can start teaching one of our various courses. I'll link the set of courses down below, just so you guys can get a grasp of what we teach. And so that's for this lecture, and I'll see you guys in the next one.